Hello guys and welcome to Patrick's Basement. The year is slowly coming to an end, and what could be nicer to end the year 2024 in which we take the magic of the Christmas season with us and dare a new journey to Middle-earth, because in today's review I introduce to you none other than Gandalf the White from Asmus. It will be an honor if you would accompany me on another journey to Middle-earth.
Oh my god.
First I would like to start with the packaging, which is very large and heavy. But there is a good reason for that, because the packaging not only looks beautiful on the outside, but it's also full surprises on the inside, as you'll see soon. From the outside the packaging shines completely in white, and if you look a little closer you can see a kind of marble texture. In the middle Gandalf's staff is depicted, which is outlined in gold. Also in gold we see the Lord of the Rings lettering and the name of the figure it's about today, namely Gandalf the White. Left and right we see the same grey circular symbols that can be found a little later on Gandalf's tunic. Beautiful. At the top and bottom we see a very familiar writing that should be familiar to every Lord of the Rings fan. In golden every script, in the language of Mordor, there is a secret that only fire reveals.
One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all into the darkness. But
excuse me, I got a little carried away. On the sides we see a grey checkered pattern and the crown Asmus logo. On the left side the Gandalf the White lettering. On the back there is a New Line Cinema logo and a thank you for choosing Asmus. On the top of the packaging we see the ring inscription again and a picture of Gandalf's branch. Below the lettering Gandalf the White there is a yellow tab that we have to pull to remove the cardboard slipcase. There is a layer under the cardboard slipcase on which there is a scene from the Return of the King when Gandalf and Shadowfax came to the aid of Faramir and his troops as they fled for the Nazgûl. All figures then underneath the layer. I would like to know how lovingly the figures and accessories at Asmus Toys are packaged. I noticed this with Legolas too. Great importance is attached here to ensure that nothing happened to your figure and everything that goes with it. Everything is beautiful framed in foam, even Gandalf's head is packaging separately. I'm thrilled! It is difficult for me to describe the character Gandalf, be it the grey one or Gandalf the White one. Have you ever had the feeling that you are particularly well protected by someone? Maybe with your parents or grandparents? Someone is looking up to her? That no matter what the person says, it sounds right and makes sense? That you trust a person so much that you will follow him until death? That's how I feel when I think of Gandalf. Gandalf's words to Pippin as they stood under siege in Minas Tirith are unforgettable. When Pippin said, "I didn't think it would end this." And? No. The journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path. One that we all must take. Gandalf said this in a such gentle calm voice that even I, a spectator, no longer feel that death was bad. It showed me that no magic wand, no magic was necessary at that moment. Just the words that could do magic. I think this is the true magic of Gandalf. I would like to start with the face and what else is left to say, but wow! Ian McKellen's face is almost perfectly captured. I think there's nothing wrong here. Asmus did an incredible job here. I'm honestly overwhelmed and at the same time amazed that they managed to get so close to the original. I mean, look at the face. This is Ian McKellen. and it's hard to beat in terms of realism. And I can say with a clear conscience that Asmus is catching up with figures like this. And you definitely don't have to hide from manufacturers like Hot Toys and InArt. It's good that they decided to forego sculpted hair and instead use it rooted hair, which makes the figure looks particularly realistic. The numbers of hairs was chosen optimally here. There is no need for action. Rooted hair is being used on more and more figures, but not all figures looks equally good. It happens that either too much hair has been used that it looks like it's fluffed up, that is sticking out in all directions. But the hair here fits almost perfectly, like in the movie. They also went to the trouble of using rooted hair for the beard. I can't even imagine the effort it took to use all the individual hairs. But as you can see, the effort was worth it. It just looked incredible and I'm a huge fan of it. Let's get to the costume, and it consists of several layers, which means it's best to work from the outside in. So let's start with the cloak. It is beige and is made of a velvety material. Its look a little different on the inside, a lot darker in color, and the material is coarser than on the outside. On the left and right side we see fine sewn in white lines. Good job. Further up we see a silver branch that holds the cloak together. An additional wire was incorporated into the hood, so we can align the hood the way we would like. Although I can remember Gandalf ever pulling his hood over his head. What's really nice to see is that the light beige and some dark beige look so beautiful together. Under the cloak is the wams, which shines in silver, on which we remember there are the same symbols as on the packaging. Beautiful. The wams is made of a slightly thicker material than the cloak further down, and I don't know if it really belongs to the wams, but I think so. It's a skirt in an even darker beige. It's really nice to see the mix of colors between the individual items of clothing. Under the wams there is a white tunic. The sewing work is really incredible. You can see how much love was put into this project. Look at the beautiful patterns in the tunic, which can be seen everywhere, including here on the arms. The sleeves are a little longer, which is how it should be for a wizard. I personally really like the design of the sleeves. Here several layers fall on top of each other. On the underside we see fine white lines again. The belt is grey and made of faux leather. There is additional straps on the belt to which your forehammer clamp ring is attached. The individual buckles are actually made of metal. The trousers are then underneath the tunic. It's made of a lighter beige. It can be pulled a bit. Let's see how it affects the movements later. Finally we have the boots, which are grey and also sewn together from fabric in one piece, so to speak. What I particularly like about them are the individual metal eyelets and the laces on the boots. I've really seen that. What's not so nice to look at, however, is that where the ankles should be. It looks a bit strange. It looks like each side is dented. But that doesn't matter much because that's covered by the tunic and the cloak. Let's move on to mobility. The head can be rotated once around the entire axis. The whole thing works on the front and the back without any problems. The hull can be turned sideways little, really little. The same applies if we try this forward and backwards. The arms can be perfectly extended to the sides at 90 degrees. The same applies if we stretch them forwards, also 90 degrees. Bending your arms also work without any problems. As already mentioned, we have wedge joints here. The legs can be extended to around 80 degrees. Angling works here too without any problems. While it may not be particularly nice to look at, it's great advantage when it comes to the mobility of the feet, because we can easily move our feet forwards, backwards and even sideways. The figure doesn't stand on its own for a while, but to be honest I wouldn't do without the base, because the joints on the feet are particularly buckle very easy. Let's move on to the accessories. We have 10 interchangeable hands, the faux hammer clamp ring, and of course the wizard stuff. I would like to start with a base, and it is by far one of the most beautiful bases I have ever had the pleasure of holding in my hand. The base is round and has a white border to match, but the beautiful part is still the surface, which is made of artificial grass. And I don't mean cheap cardboarding lying on the base, no, artificial grass. As you run your fingers over the grass, you can feel the texture. Really beautiful. I usually never go into detail about the pole, as they are usually all the same by default, but even here you are not satisfied with standard. And gives us a pole of a very special shape. As you can see, the pole is shaped like a column. Whether the whole thing makes sense, the pole is no longer visible as soon as Gandalf is on the base is open to debate. I think it's good. Finally something new. Further down we see a silver plaque with the name Gandalf. Next we have the faux hammer, Glamdring. A beautiful weapon that's actually made entirely of metal, although I'm not sure if the handle was simply painted over or covered with another material. In any case, it feels a little different than the rest of the sword. Since the sword is made of metal, it is correspondingly heavy. The question remains, can Gandalf hold the sword too? You don't have to be afraid, Asmus has already thought about this and give Gandalf ratchet joints, so that can Gandalf hold the Glamdring without any problems. Of course, a weapon like this comes with a suitable sword scabbard, but it is made entirely of plastic, but that doesn't make it any less beautiful than the sword. I like the color combination of white and silver, especially when the sword is in the scabbard and the blue of the handle is added. Very nice. Of course we can attach the Glamdring, including the sword scabbard, to the strap that is also attached to the belt. It's not that complicated. If you still have problems with it, there is help and pictured from the description. If the whole thing worked, it would look like this. And now we come to the one of most famous pieces of equipment for a wizard, and that is of course the staff. And like Gandalf himself, he changed completely after the fall on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, and it lives up to Gandalf the White and is of course completely in white. The stuff is actually made of wood, but I don't think it's completely made. It's really hard to tell whether the top end is made of plastic or wood. It feels almost identical. But we shouldn't care. Overall, the stuff looks fantastic, and that's what's count in the end. And now we come to something very special, my highlight of the day, which I saved for last, and I intentionally didn't mention it, because we have forgotten something very important. May I introduce, ladies and gentlemen, Shadowfax! Lord of all horses and a loyal friend of Gandalf through many dangers. Shadowfax is one of the mirrors, one of the longest living and largest horses in Middle-earth. Shadowfax was able to understand human speech and was said to run faster than the wind. In moments like this, I wish my heart couldn't express how happy I am to able to call this beautiful animal my own. I mean, look at him. Right? The first thing we notice is that rooted hair was used for the mane and tail. To be honest, anything else have surprised me. There are also care tips in the description for the mane and tail. It is best to use a small hairbrush or a toothbrush, whether we really depend on remains to be seen. Shadowfax is made of a very hard material. I think polystone was used here. In other words, the fur is sculpted. It will be asking too much to cover Shadowfax with fake fur. Had this been done, it would have been impossible to see the remaining details as there are in this case. Look at the individual hairs, the muscle on the chest, or the ribs on the sides. Not to forget the beautiful eyes that make me feel like they are looking at me no matter where I go. Because I unexpectedly recently discovered my love for a certain beautiful lady, which has my life a lot richer. I am all that more overjoyed to be able to own such a great piece of workmanship. It's not often that I say this, but I'm speechless. I love it. My conclusion, what can I say that I haven't already said in this review? I'm overwhelmed. Asmus sends Gandalf the White into the race, who scores points across the board, Asmus attached great importance to quality, and that doesn't just apply to the figure itself, but to the accessories that go with it. The faux hammer made of metal, the staff made of wood, the base with artificial grass, even the pole was designed. I had never seen that before. And as if that wasn't enough, we also get shadow facts. I think Asmus has managed to make the hearts of every Lord of the Rings fan, no matter where in the world, beat a little faster. Therefore, my rating is as follows. And what you can do with this figure, I'll show you now. Exactly a year ago I stood here and presented Legolas from Asmus Toys. Back then I was already thrilled by the love and passion that Asmus puts into her characters. Has anything changed since then? Absolutely not. You saw it yourself and you hear it. The words unbelievable, beautiful, overwhelming were heard more often. And the second attempt here, Asmus is absolutely convincing for the second time. Even though I think in art it's a bit ahead in terms of quality, it's nice to see how Asmus is fighting his way up little by little, and with characters like this, I see the future positively. Since we're talking about the future, next year we will return safe and sound and start a new year with characters like Obi-Wan from episode 3, the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and many, many more. But until then, I'll say goodbye to this year for now. I hope we see each other again next year. All that's left to say is, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And don't forget, if you look for toys, then Patrick's the choice. See you next year.